Good morning, everyone. My name is Blake Aldridge with the Upper Trinity Regional Water District. I'm joined today by Daniel Rusnak and Hayden Scarnato, who's behind the iPad. You'll see him in a bit. But today we're here. We're going to show you and discuss a little bit about why litter and trash is such a negative impact for our local communities across the region. And then, it's such a big problem, and ways that residents can help reduce the trash and litter problem that plagues our waterways and can impact our lakes and reservoirs. So, Daniel, can you first tell us a little bit about where we are?
Well, Blake, thanks for having us. Our pleasure to be here. Well, we're standing next to a creek that runs through our Jackson Ranch neighborhood here in Lake Dallas, and we're next to a beautiful sign here that was donated by the Upper Trinity Regional Water District that really serves as a purpose to let residents know that the water flows through and into our watershed.
Great, that's a great point. And as part of Upper Trinity's Regional Watershed Protection Program, we do donate these signs to our customer and member cities and utilities. Currently there's about 250 of these signs out throughout Denton County, so if you see a sign like this out, you can think of Upper Trinity and all the cities and utilities that we serve and support. And same with they serve and support us as well. So if watershed, the term watershed is not familiar to you, it's basically all the land area that drains or funnels water to a single point, such as Lake Lewisville. If you think of a bathtub that as the shower rains down and all the water flows to that drain hole, the same concept with the watershed. As it rains in an area, all that water will flow across the land surface and into small creeks like this one, into bigger rivers, and in many cases in North Texas into a reservoir. So watersheds come in all shapes and sizes, some as big as an acre, or even like a parking lot could be a watershed. Or in the case of Lewisville Lake, which has a watershed of over 900 square miles. All right, and that's to give you a kind of a frame of reference. It's 967 square miles. It's bigger than all of Denton County. So that's just important to realize that the Lewisville Lake watershed is made up of a bunch of smaller watersheds, and watersheds that we all live in. Everyone lives in a watershed, and so as we do our daily activities, the different things we do can either benefit or negatively impact ultimately the water that ends up in Lewisville Lake. And why is this a problem? Because Lewisville Lake is a major drinking water source for many North Texans. And not only that, but it's a major recreational hotspot. Many folks like to come and boating, fishing, hiking, and the hundreds of miles of trails around the lake. We have the natural areas and the parks. And so as people come to enjoy those recreational opportunities, they also like to spend money. So the economies of the local communities around the lake benefit as well from that spending. So if we allow pollution to continue unabated or anything like that, and not try to reduce the amount of pollution in the lake, it will not only be more difficult and costly for us at the Upper Trinity to treat that water to be able to drink it, which is going to cost more for all of us who pay our water bills, but if recreation suffers, if people see a lot of trash and things like that in the lake, or it's just high bacteria levels or things like that, then as we see less and less people coming to recreate in and around the lake, those local economies of those local communities will suffer as well. So, um, so Daniel and Hayden, what are we seeing in this creek?
All right, thank you all for joining us. This is something obviously we care deeply about, and we do appreciate your shared interest in tuning in today. We're going to walk down and show you all what residents are seeing pretty much on an average day. Okay, so like Daniel was saying, we are on Owen Oaks Drive. We see a variety of litter here today. The most egregious being this cigarette cardboard sign. Day to day, the most common items we do see are plastic bags, plastic bottles, containers, a lot of plastics. The paper bags being really the most egregious because they are so hard to take out. And not only is this an eyesore to the neighbors who live in this area, but it's also incredibly harmful to the aquatic life in our community in Louisville Lake, and it's costly to treat it. It's harmful to the water quality in our area that we recreate on, as Blake was saying, and also what we consume. This creek especially holds a significant amount of importance because it's entirely visible. It starts at the DCTA rail trail in our city. It goes a little further west in Hickory Creek before that, but in Lake Dallas, it's you can see it all from the rail trail. It goes through the Jackson Ranch HOA neighborhood. Then after that, it goes behind all of the homes that are on Pembroke, past Shady Shores, and into Louisville Lake. I know we all love living next to the lake. It brings us so many different opportunities and benefits. It's a lot of fun, but it also comes with a lot of responsibility for us as residents, for the residents that are in the cities next to us, because we're really the last stop before this does enter into the lake. So we can take a little closer look if we were able to. This is just a normal day. It was a couple weeks since our last storm. As Blake did mention, part of our watershed, you can imagine, is a bathtub, which means any water that is dropping in our city does end up into these creek beds like this one. This is just one of several different creek systems in Lake Dallas. This one, of course, does hold some of the most importance, however. We included in our watershed is Interstate 35, the business developments along Swisher Road, and all of these residential zones in our city as well. So when it does rain, it washes in litter, as well as oil and fertilizer and other kinds of pollutants into this creek. It might be a little difficult to see, but if you came out here and took a little closer look at the surface of the water, you'd be able to see some of that oil as well.
All very good points, Hayden. And I do especially want to emphasize, yeah, of course, this is an eyesore for the community. You know, we want to come out and see nature and things like that, and having a big foam sign like this and plastic bags hanging all over the trees and the grass and the roots along the creek is not something that I think most people would particularly enjoy coming out to see. And not only that, but yeah, litter and trash is known to harbor a lot of bacteria once it gets out into the environment, and so if it makes its way to the lake, it's adding more bacteria, not only to this creek but to the lake. And then, you know, we hear a lot about how trash and litter harms wildlife and fish and other aquatic life, and so litter and trash has such a major impact for our local environment, not just humans, but everything that depends on the water in and around the creeks and the lake. So Hayden, how is the city planning on addressing this issue now and into the future?
Great question. The city and Keep Lake Dallas Beautiful volunteers are actively taking what we call a three-pronged approach to alleviating this issue in our creeks and ultimately the lake. The first of which is education. We showed you the signs up here, which were graciously donated by the Upper Trinity. Thank you so much. Development Services Department at City Hall, we do a weekly public information campaign for talking about the benefits of planting natural native perennials in your yard, reducing the dependency on fertilizers. So education is really important to us, and that's where we've been starting since, I'd say, the fall. The second phase is litter abatement. Soon we'll be organizing a cleanup crew of volunteers and city staff to actively come out here. It's a boots on the ground effort and removing this trash. The third step is an eventual plan of installing trash recapture nets in strategic locations throughout our city. We've selected some potential zones where we could install those nets, which would prevent trash from going further down into the creek bed.
Very good. What are ways residents in their daily lives, daily activities, that they can reduce trash and litter that makes its way to this creek?
Great question as well. There are a lot of simple steps we as residents and homeowners and citizens can take to reduce our litter. A lot of times we might be littering and we aren't even aware of it. Rolling out your trash can on trash day, you want to make sure it's covered and enclosed. If you're hauling supplies or materials in the back of a truck or a trailer, you just want to ensure that's strapped down and covered. So, on the way here, I saw trash blown out of a trailer, and it's you may not even know it, but the person behind you does. If you do see it, you can always report that to Don't Mess with Texas with their license plate. It's incredibly effective. Just a tip for you all. And also, just not littering. I imagine a lot of the folks watching this aren't egregiously rolling down their windows and tossing out a Coke can into the creeks. At least I hope not. But as you can imagine, that all ends up in our lake anyhow.
Yeah, I think, like you mentioned earlier, with living this close to the lake and being part of this watershed, we do have a greater responsibility. And not only for those living here, but you mentioned 35 is part of the watershed. So yeah, especially keeping items contained in your truck bed or anything like that, or if you're visiting a local park, making the extra effort to get those trash items either back to your car or to a proper trash can, something like that, instead of just kind of thrown in on the ground. All of it makes a huge impact for our area. So are there ways residents can get more involved with the city or other organizations to help with this effort?
Absolutely. We would love to hear from you. We formed really great partnerships with Upper Trinity Regional Water District, as well as the Jackson Ranch HOA, which we're standing on right here, the DCTA. We've all partnered with them to utilize this space. We all recognize that it is important. This is a strategic location to remove trash. If you are interested in joining our cause, please do go to lakedallas.com and search Keep Lake Dallas Beautiful in the search bar, and you'll see our contact information and a little bit more details about what this involves. We would love to hear from you.
Great. Daniel and Hayden, thanks for all the great information today. It's a joy for Upper Trinity to help support our local communities, those we serve with drinking water and wastewater services, but we also recognize the extreme importance of watershed protection now and into the future. So partnering on projects like this is a great benefit, not only to your community, but to us as well as we serve your community. So I appreciate everyone who's watching today and who's going to be watching once we post this video online. If you've got any comments or questions, feel free to leave those in the comment box below the post or in the event page. And we look forward to seeing you soon, especially hope that you can get in contact with Hayden and Daniel in the city and get involved with Keep Lake Dallas Beautiful. Have a great day.
Thank you.